Welcome back. All right, so we had 9 games tonight in the National Hockey League. I'd like to thank the San Jose game for not going into a shootout. It's always nice when the game that starts in California and starts late doesn't go into a shootout. It still means I'm starting my review late. It's going to post late. I apologize to the East Coast and all that wonderful stuff. And I say good morning to those in Asia because, yeah, it's one of those things where you can just have a coffee and go, hey, look, it's a brand new video here. So it's one of those nice things with YouTube. It is global, so I know there's people who are going to be like, hey, you'll be posting too late, but there's other people who are going to go, this is really nice timing for me. All right, we're going to start off with some nice timing by the Boston Bruins. And for Detroit, it feels like this has started to come apart. The early, fast start to their season, it's probably done. It was Greiss versus Swayman. Early power play for the Wings. Shot blocks by the Bruins were taking place there. Penalties killed off. The shots were 5-1 for the Bruins at 9 minutes. Smith couldn't get one past Greiss. The Wings couldn't get pressure, though. The Wings were not able to get any kind of sustained pressure early on. The Bruins did get a power play, and wow, did Patrice Bergeron ever hit it tonight. So we had 2 natural hat tricks tonight in the NHL. This is rare. Marchand and McAvoy with the assists at 11:03. Marchand had a pretty good game, too. Wings pushed for the answer, but the Bruins just aren't giving them any room. There was a power play then for Boston before the period's out. It doesn't score, so they were 1 for 2 through 1 period. Second period, early Bruins press. Greiss making the saves. Greiss did his best in this one. He was the one that was keeping it 1-0 at this stage. The Wings press at 4.5 minutes, but while they get some pressure again, it's all to the outside and they're just not getting enough shots. Howla had a rush chance. That was saved. Smith blasts one wide of Greiss. Craig Smith had a lot of opportunities tonight, just nothing going in for him. Better first half to that period for the Wings than for the first period. The Bruins get a power play, though, right around the half, and Bergeron scores on it from Marchand at 10:52. Howla then had a break. Greiss saves there. So again, Greiss still making some saves to try to keep this one close. Hall had a chance that deflected out, and there's a late Bruins power play. They score again on the power play. The Bruins power play looked like the Oilers power play tonight, and it's Bergeron again. So this is his 7th career hat trick. Marchand and McAvoy with the assists at 18:45. So it's the same scoring play as the first power play goal. Almost the same as the second, just McAvoy didn't get an assist on that one. And that's a natural hat trick, all 3 of them on the power play. That sounds really unusual and rare to have not only the natural hat trick, but all 3 of them on the power play. So I don't have the stats on that. I apologize. But I'm thinking that has to be rare, right? Raymond took a puck in the face. It was friendly fire for him. He would come back into the game. So we go to the third period with it 3-0 for Boston. Early power play for the Wings. Suter fires one wide. It's killed off without Boston allowing any shots. The Wings get another power play, and then they ended up with a 5-on-3 for over a minute. Carlo was doing his best to block on that, but Raymond would score from Hronik and Seider at 7:46, which left 1 minute and 12 seconds left for the 5-on-4. During that 5-on-4, not long after Detroit's given themselves a little bit of hope at 3-1, Mike Riley with his first goal as a member of the Boston Bruins. So Riley's one that he's got a good shot. It doesn't hit the net often enough. Maybe this is a sign he's going to start getting some goals. Lassar with the assist on the shorthanded marker at 8:10. So that's the first shorthanded goal for Boston this year. And it's surprising that it's Riley that gets it. Bergeron then nearly gets his 4th goal. There was a power play for the Bruins. Things getting kind of scrappy. And then when we're back to 5-on-5, Bergeron scores again. That's his 4th. Marchand with his 4th assist. And Riley adds an assist with his goal. That's at 15:52. Your final score is 5-1 Boston. They go to 5-3 on the season. Detroit drops to 4-5-2 again. They're below 500 now, and it kind of feels like this is where they're going to be. Now, they were without Larkin, but I don't know if Larkin was in the lineup if Detroit wins this. But again, we'll find out, right? When he comes back, we'll see if their play gets better. The shots in this one favors Boston the whole way. 11-3 in the first, 15-6 in the second, 11-6 in the third. Final shots, 37-15 for Boston. Power plays, Detroit goes 1 for 4. Boston 3 for 5. The hits were 25-24 for Detroit. Greiss saves 32 out of 37. Swayman, not busy. Saved 14 out of 15 at his end of the ice. And again, did well considering he really wasn't busy and he wasn't tested that often. So No really leaky goals in this one for him, just a 5-on-3. Tampa. This was a pretty good game, and this was a pretty good game by the Toronto Maple Leafs. And it's interesting because they played a good game and they never really deviated too far from it. So it's Vasilevsky versus Campbell. Good two-way game early. The shots were being kept to a minimum by both teams, though. The shots were 2 apiece at 7.5 minutes. Tampa gets power play. It only gets 1 shot overall. Colton fired one wide that was close. But yeah, they killed that off. Simmons then had a chance it was stopped. Simmons had a good night. Good shift for him. He doesn't get on the board tonight, but I thought he had a good game. And then it's Maroon from Perry and Chernak at 13-16. So Corey Perry gets on the board with an assist. Maroon with, I believe that's the second goal of the season. Vasilevsky then turned the puck over, which led to chances for both Kasha and Kampf. Scrappy with 2:10 left. Marner was downed on the play. He jumped right back up, but yeah, they didn't like it. And it was Sergachev with a head check on Marner. The illegal check to the head being a 2-minute penalty, and I've argued this for years, I still think that's odd for that to only be a 2. I think for an illegal check to the head, if it's a clear head check, I think it should be more than 2, but that's me. We had 5-on-3 then for 2 minutes for the Leafs because there was another penalty that went on in that. Tavares had a tip that was saved. This was a bad 5-on-3. So this is where, for me, it kind of looks like it's a psychological thing with Toronto. When they get an opportunity at a 5-on-3 and just can't bury it. And there was some great penalty killing in there by guys like McDonough. But, man, you have to get goals. You're down by 1, you're at home. You have a 5-on-3 for 2 minutes. You have to get at least a goal on that. So second period, pressed by the Bolts at 4 minutes. Points drive was saved. The shots were 7-3 for Tampa at 6 minutes. Matthews had a backhand that was denied. Matthews had a good game too. Stamkos couldn't bury one. The Leafs were blanketed on their opportunities. So they would get the chances, and they were getting rushes, but Tampa wasn't giving them very much space. They were doing a pretty good job of denying them the middle of the ice too. Pressed by the Leafs with 6 minutes left. Nylander had a tip shot that was saved. The Bolts, for over 10 minutes, went without a shot. So, yeah, Toronto did quite well here, just not getting the goals. Simmons, snake bit. Working hard. He had another shift where he gets a really good opportunity, just he could not get one in the net tonight. So you go to the third with it 1-0 Tampa. Back and forth play early again. Bunting had a chance that wouldn't go. This is where I will admit, I was picturing Steve Dangle swearing and getting mad at the TV. And just I had that in my brain. Vasilevsky was in the zone to this point in the game. It didn't look like anything was getting by him. Sandin had a chance. That was caught. The shots are 3-1 for the Leafs at 7 minutes. They were playing well. Huge Campbell saves then with 7.5 minutes left. So when Tampa pressed, Jack Campbell looked really good. And again, they're down 1-0. It's a storyline we've seen with Toronto before. But yeah, Campbell was not a problem tonight at all. The Leafs press with 4.5 minutes left. With 3:57 left, Bunting takes a penalty, but there's a 4-on-4 with it. So they pull the goaltender with 2.5 minutes left. Marner got mad at himself for a miss. Again, showing that he wears his heart on his sleeve. He really does. Nylander fires one wide, but then at 19:18, so in the last minute of the third period, they finally get on the board. It's Tavares from Marner and Matthews, and that's a trio that needs to, put those points together, right? So that ties it up. We go to overtime. The Leafs control on the faceoff. Matthews couldn't finish it. Tavares was denied. The Leafs end up with a power play. They call a timeout before the power play. I understand why they do that, but in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, don't psych yourselves out. So even though I'm not a Leafs fan, after watching the All or Nothing thing and everything I heard on that, I'm like, yeah, they could totally psych themselves out here, couldn't they? There was a post for Marner, but then the power play marker goes. It's Nylander from Matthews and Marner at 2:43. So again, the highly paid players up front, all of them get on the board either with a goal or with a couple of assists. And yeah, Toronto wins this one in overtime, and this feels like an important game. They go to 6-4-1. Tampa drops to 5-3-2 with the overtime loss. The shots in this one were 9 apiece in the first, 13-8 Toronto in the second. Tampa actually outshot them 8-7 in the third. In the overtime, Toronto gets all 5 shots. Final shots, 34-25 for Toronto. Power plays, Tampa goes 0 for 1. Toronto goes 1 for 3. The hits were 20-13 for Tampa. Vasilevsky, 32 saves on 34 shots. Excellent game for him. and Campbell 24 saves on 25 shots. Pretty good game for him too. So yeah, that was very entertaining, as I thought it might be. Then we get here. So every time Montreal beats Detroit, and it looks like they're getting it together, reality sets in, and they're not. And that kind of happens again tonight. The New York Islanders came in with a record that was okay, considering these are all road games. They come out of tonight looking like, hey, so this road trip could be highly successful if they can play like this every night. So with Sorokin versus Allen, there were early chances for the Islanders. Nelson would score from Palmieri and Beauvillier at 4:14. The Islanders then pushed for another. Mayfield had a shot in close that was saved. The Habs would get a power play. Gallagher had a chance that was defended. They don't end up scoring on that power play. They almost evened up the shots, but coming out of the first period, it's 1-0 Islanders. Second period, Nelson had a net drive that wouldn't go. He had an excellent game. Wahlstrom then scores from Cizikas at 3:31. So now it's 2-0, and you've got to already be thinking, and Sorokin at the other end isn't known as a goaltender that allows a lot of goals this year, so, right? The Habs press at 5 minutes. The shots were actually 6-5 in favor of Montreal halfway through this period. Sorokin, though, it felt like was unlikely to give up 3. And I wrote that right on the board. Unlikely to give up 3. Nelson then scores from Beauvillier and Chara at 12:25. So that's Zdeno Chara's first point of the season, his first point in his return to the New York Islanders. Pizzetta on a turnover, his shot was saved. His next opportunity just went wide as well. But then it's Nelson from Beauvillier at 15:23. And that's on a turnover. And that's a hat trick. That's a hat trick. You get Nelson here, Nelson here, Nelson here. What ruins the natural hat trick, of course, is Wahlstrom. That's rude. Broke up a natural hat trick. I don't think Nelson is all that worried about it, but that's his third career hat trick. Good night for Nelson. Some pushy, sticky was going on with the next whistle as these teams didn't like each other very much. Montreal trying to fire themselves up, obviously, right? And then before the period's out, more kicking of Montreal while they're down. Pajot scores from Parise and Pulock at 18:08, and the Boo Birds were out at the horn. This was a rough night. So Montembeault would take over in net. It's a rough night for everybody. Stretch pass to Beauvillier missed early on. The Islanders get a power play. It doesn't score. Savard tries to pass one to Lehkonen, which might have gone in if Lehkonen had got it, but that pass attempt missed at the net. The Islanders go back to the power play. This is Montreal just basically imploding. The Habs killed it off, but of course it is 5-0 at this point. Gallagher had chances that were denied. The Islanders go back to the power play. During that next power play, it's a shorthanded marker for Montreal. It's Nick Suzuki from Savard at 15:20. The Habs then get an extended 5-on-3. During that, they score. It's Toffoli with his second of the season from Dvorak and Suzuki at 17:04. So 2 goals in about a minute and a half makes it interesting. Pull the goalie. Why not? Nelson gets his 4th goal of the game from Parise and Pajot at 19:41. And that makes your score 6-2. So they made it a 3-goal game with those 2 goals there. Pulled the goalie to try to get closer. And the Islanders answer with the empty netter to make the final score 6-2. The Islanders go to 4-2-2. They've got 5 games left on this road trip. And then they go home for a while. The Montreal Canadiens are now 3-9. This doesn't get easier. The math gets harder and harder. Even over an 82-game schedule, to start 3-9, you're making it so your record has to be really strong from here to get a chance at a Stanley Cup playoff spot. So the shots in this one were 12-10 for the Islanders in the first, 13 apiece in the second. Montreal actually outshoots them 15-11 in the third. Final shots 38-36 for Montreal. Power plays 0-3 for the Islanders, 1-3 for Montreal. The hits 26 for the Islanders, 22 for Montreal. Sorokin saves 36 out of 38. Jake Allen saves 20 out of 25. And Montembeault saves all 10 shots that he faced. So for Montreal, it just continues, right? And hearing the Boo Birds like that in Montreal, it's it's not something that's that alien to Montreal, really. Just it feels like it's been a while. I don't know how long it's been, though. So, yeah. Next up, Ottawa. So, another Canadian team that had a hard time at home tonight, the Ottawa Senators against the Vegas Golden Knights, who are, of course, coming off of an embarrassment against the Toronto Maple Leafs. And they weren't making any excuses either. Robin Lehner basically being very public about, hey, we need to be better than this. And he's right, and they were. It was Leonard versus Gustafson. The Senators get a power play. Norris with a shot block. Tkachuk was denied. Vegas kills it off. Good power play, though, by Ottawa. Good power play, just doesn't succeed there. The Senators press. After having the shots 6-3 in their favor at 7 minutes, they'd press again. But Leonard was stopping virtually everything that came his way tonight. Vegas pressed with 6.5 minutes left. Janmark fires one wide. The Senators would eventually clear after a pretty heavy press by Vegas. Gustafson making some big saves late. So it's scoreless after 1. Second period. The Sens somehow couldn't get it in the net. It was an open net for Watson, but instead of, and again, I know it was a little off balance, him and the puck, but rather than just put it straight into the net, he actually shoved it towards where Leonard was coming across, and so Leonard makes the save a little bit ahead of the goal line, but just that little bit ahead of the goal line matters. And because I thought that was going in. Then Vegas had a 3-on-2 that fizzles. However, William Carrier scores from Amadio and Stevenson at 4:31. So that makes it 1-0 for Vegas. And it was a 5-hole shot that Gustafson just flat out missed. Gustafson needs to save that one. That's one of those ones that, yes, you look at this on the replay, you'll say, he should probably, THG was right. Probably should save that. Vegas pressed for another. Lecision, a crossbar away from 2-0. I was impressed that I still remembered how to spell Lecision. I didn't look that up. Because Curtis Lecision was one of my favorite players. And since Jake Lecision is related to Curtis Lecision, it's important that I don't mess that up. Howden then scored his first as a Vegas Golden Knight from Theodore, and Ron Bjerg at 11:21. Ron Bjerg is a great name. I hope he's a big success. I want an excuse to say that a lot in reviews. So that made it 2-0, and that was on a Holden turnover. Holden, of course, formerly a Golden Knight. Maybe he got confused. Then Marchessault scores from Raw and Haig at 12:25. It is Raw in Vegas. It is Roy that's in LA. Raw, Roy. Got it. So it's 3-0 Vegas at that point. But to their credit, the Ottawa Senators fight back. It's Tkachuk from Zub and Batherson at 15:50, and it was a perfect tip by Tkachuk. He danced a little much on that. I get it, but I was like, you're down 3-1. I don't know about the dance on the goal, man. Like I'd probably dance like that if I was up 4-0, but not necessarily when we're down 3-1. But all right. With 52.2 seconds left, Vegas gets their only power play of the game, so that rolls over to the third. The Senators not only killed it off, but Gambrell had a good shorthanded chance as well. So both teams were 0-for-1 on the power play tonight. Leonard with a nice Statue of Liberty save. The shots were 9-6 for Vegas at the half. McNabb fired one high, but not long after. Pietrangelo scores from Smith and Martinez at 14:01. So down 4-1, Ottawa does what you have to do. They pull the goaltender a little bit earlier than you normally would, and it gives Marchessault a chance to get a goal into the empty net from Janmark at 17:10, and Vegas wins this one 5-1. So Vegas moves to 5-5 on the season. Ottawa drops to 3-6-1. So that early start where they looked okay, kind of forgotten now. Ottawa's definitely got some issues here. Shots were 16-11 Ottawa in the first, 16-12 in the second for Vegas, 12-11 Vegas in the third. Final shots 39 each. Both teams, as I said, went 0-for-1 on the power play. The hits 44-22 for Ottawa. So yeah, Vegas is a completely different team than what they were in their first year. Getting out hit like that never happened then. Leonard 38 saves on 39 shots. At the other end, Gustafson saves 34 out of 38. And again, Gustafson didn't get support just like he didn't get against Minnesota. And there you go. Now we need to change boards. Okay, so Florida and Washington. The interesting thing with Florida is they often have games where I don't really need to take very many notes because there's a lot of goals in them. So I just have the column and I'm like, all right, so it's going to be a lot of it's going to be goals. And this was one of those games. And it feels like this is one of the rare games this year that was something I saw a lot last year, and especially the year before that. Year before that was ridiculous with the comebacks and the blown leads and everything. And just, there was a lot of goals in their third periods. It was Vanacek versus Bobrovsky. It was supposed to be Samsonov, but it was Vanacek versus Bobrovsky. Don't worry, all four goaltenders played in this game. Wilson hits for Hagee, which was not appreciated by fans, but I didn't really see anything there. Samsonov would get into the net. Apparently it was an equipment issue. And then Barkov welcomes him to the game with a goal from Duclair and Verhaeghe at 3:07. They challenged for goalie interference, did the Capitals, and that was a no. Not goalie interference. Panthers go to the power play. The Caps did kill it, and they allowed no shots to that Florida power play. There was a press by the Caps at 6.5 minutes, but Florida makes it 2-0. Aaron Ekblad with a goal to go with points he'd get later as well. 11:04 is the time to make it 2-0. The Panthers' top line then presses after that. Caps get a power play. Bobrovsky denies Ovechkin, and that power play comes to an end. So, second period. Spencer Knight's in to start the second period. Bobrovsky out with an upper body injury. So, going to play it that way. And he is welcomed to the game by the Capitals. Sprong scores from Mantha at 43 seconds. So again, well, there's a new goalie. Well, we better score. And they do. Both teams did it tonight. Caps get a power play. Knight denies Ovi. It's killed off. Montour then makes it 3-1 in favor of the Florida Panthers from Forsling and Marchment at 7:16. The Panthers then had a 3-on-2 that was a near miss there. Panthers get a power play. And the physicality and the amount of punching that was going on after the whistle starts to ramp up. Panthers press after their power play ended. Then there was another power play for the Panthers, and they score on this one. It's Barkov from Hornquist and Ekblad at 15:32. And honestly, it looks like this game is salted away. But Ovechkin scores from Eller at 18:11, so that's his 10th goal in 10 games. Sure, why not? Catch Gretzky this year. And then Wilson from Carlson and Ovechkin at 19:43. So Wilson, who'd been having a hard time getting the puck into the net, he gets a goal there. And all of a sudden, it's a 4-3 game going into the third. Third period, no shots in the first 4.5 minutes. Florida trying to, bring this one home. Caps get their first shot, but this game was going fast at that point. And then at 6:56, McMichael scores his first of the season from Ovechkin and Leeson. That's a weird scoring combination there, isn't it? Ovechkin might be older than, well, almost older than both of those players' ages put together, I would think. So you got McMichael's probably 20. Leeson would probably be 20, 21. So Ovechkin's 36. Like, it's just, right? Yeah. So they could have called him Unky Ovi. I don't think he would have liked that. The Caps did press for the lead, but, in a period where there was a lot of opportunities for the Caps, it is Knight that ends up keeping it where it is. So Knight had a rough evening overall, but they do get to overtime. And the Panthers control it early, and then Luostarinen scores from Forsling and Reinhart at 1:55. So Florida survives this scare. It's a 3-goal comeback by the Capitals, but the Capitals drop to 5-1-4. They are collecting overtime points, I think at a faster rate than last year's Dallas Stars did. And for Florida, they go to 9-0-1. So much like for Carolina, their record is really good and they're not losing in regulation. Of course, for Carolina, they haven't tasted defeat at all. But some of these wins have kind of felt like by the skin of their teeth, and tonight's a good example. Florida outshoots Washington in the first, 14-13. Washington gets 19 shots in the second to Florida's 12. And then Washington outshot them 10-5 in the third. In the overtime, Florida gets the only 2 shots, including the one that matters. Final shots, 42-33 for Washington. Power plays, the Caps go 0-2. Florida goes 1-3. Hits were 36-29 for Washington. Samsonov saves 15 out of 18. Vanacek saves 13 out of 15. Goalies switch out in this game. Vanacek was back in, because sure, why not? Bobrovsky saves all 13 shots he faced, and then Knight saved 25 out of 29. What was a crazy game, and Spencer Knight gets the win. So yeah, this was a crazy one, and we definitely had some overtime. Oh yeah, again, it's another board that does it again. So all right, so Philadelphia and Pittsburgh's next. Let me take a look. There was no overtime on any of those games. Okay, so there's no overtime on the first board, and it's all overtime on this one. So there's that synergy that I've been looking for in these boards. And I mean, it's not like I can plan this, right? It's not like I make all these notes after the game or anything. So that would be insane. Hart versus Jarry was your matchup here, and 16 seconds in, McGinn, who has been impressive since joining the Penguins, he scores from Matheson and Aston Reese. So remember, with McGinn, he's there to kind of replace Tanev, and so far, he's done a good job. McGinn then nearly adds another. The Flyers get a power play, but they couldn't get it set up, and it got killed off by Pittsburgh. Very good play by the Flyers in that first period, but Tristan Jarry was fantastic. Jari's had a very good start to the regular season for a goaltender that after last year's playoffs, a lot of people said, maybe not Jari. The Penguins get a power play. That's unsuccessful. The Flyers get another power play, and they score on it to tie the game. It's Konechny from Giroux and Provorov at 7:37. Matheson nearly answers. Good back and forth chances at the half, and eventually one of them goes in. It's Pittsburgh. It's Gensel with his second of the season from Heinen and Marino at 11:46. JVR then had an incredible breakaway and a big save by Jari. So it's 2-1 after 2 in favor of the Pittsburgh Penguins, the home team. Even though the play, I thought Philadelphia was playing pretty well, and the lead's there for Pittsburgh because just a little bit of a break there. So early post for Letang in the third. Jari with a shoulder save early as well. Penguins press. Good saves by Carter Hart, who had a good game again. The shots were 5-3 for the Flyers at 5 minutes. The Penguins get a power play. It is unsuccessful. Konechny had a chance that was stopped. And then another shot by him wouldn't go. So while Konechny has the one goal tonight, he could have had more. Absolutely. The Flyers get a power play. It is unsuccessful, and this is where you're starting to feel like, okay, so it's 2-1 Pittsburgh. They're going to bring this home. Letang blasts one high, and then it's Lawton from Farabee at 17:08. And it's one of these turnovers behind the net. Matheson's trying to pass it to his teammate, and Farabee very rudely decided to take the puck and pass it to Lawton, who buries it. So that ties it up at 2. No chance for Jari on that one at all. Aston Reese then had a chance in the final 30 seconds, but we go to overtime in this one as well. Early control by the Flyers. Farabee had a shot that was saved. Atkinson was absolutely robbed shortly after that. And then it was, did the Penguins score? So it looked like the puck had maybe gone in. Maybe Hart saves it. The initial replay, puck's clearly in the net. I'm not sure why it took them so long to review this and call it. It's clearly a goal. Letang gets the goal from Carter at 1:54. And so Pittsburgh survives a bit of a scare. They win in overtime 3-2. Philadelphia 5-2-2 record now. For Pittsburgh 4-3-2. And they needed the 2 points here. Shots were 17-8 Philadelphia in the first, 16-10 Pittsburgh in the second, 10-9 Pittsburgh in the third. Both teams had 2 shots in the overtime. Final shots 38-36 for Philly. A lot of shots in this game. Power plays 1 for 3 for Philly, 0 for 2 for Pittsburgh. The hits were 39-20 for Pittsburgh. Hart saved 33 out of 36. And Tristan Jari, again, continues a good start for him. 36 saves on 38 shots. Not bad at all. So, yeah, entertaining and overtime. Speaking of which, I almost wore a Dallas jersey. But there's a reason I didn't wear the Dallas jersey for the review. I can't stand here and say with a straight face that Dallas should have won this game. I was convinced that as this game went on, I was like, okay, so Calgary's definitely winning this. So it was Hudobin versus Markstrom. And so Markstrom's stats take a bit of a hit tonight. I don't put any of it on him. Early Stars chance was saved. Power play then for Dallas. That was a no. Faxa with a chance that was stopped. Markstrom solid again. The thing is, the shots are 8-4 for Dallas at the half. One of the hallmarks of the recent really strong play by the Calgary Flames has been they're fast out of the gate. That first 10 minutes, they take control of the game and they dictate it. And in this one, it was the road team, the Dallas Stars, that were kind of dictating things early. Hudobin with a save minus a blocker. And yes, they did mention Demko. I was watching the Dallas feed. They did mention Demko. Good. So Hudobin and Demko have both made saves without their blocker and without their sticks. Stars go back to the power play. I did get a kick out of Daryl Ray saying, well, he just got rid of the unnecessary equipment for that save. Power play marker for Dallas then. Gurianov from Heiskanen and Suter at 14:09. Gurianov, who's been off to a slow start, maybe this gets him going. Stars press with 3.5 minutes left, and Lindell ends up hitting the crossbar late. So it's 1-0 Dallas, but it felt like it could have been worse. Second period. Early Raffle chance won't go. Mangiapane, his board play is fantastic. So Mangiapane's goals this year have been really impressive, but his board play and his defense and just his work ethic in general is fun to watch. Back and forth action going on here. Net feed to Monahan. Nearly goes, but it's a miss. Pressed by the Flames at 8 minutes. Hanifin with a chance. Keedy Uranta defends that. Hudobin saves. And the Stars were on their heels a lot in that period. Like it was notable that Dallas spent a lot of that period in their own zone. The Flames press again. The Stars were pretty darn flat. Monahan with a rush chance was saved, but then it's Lucic from Zadorov and Gabranson at 11-13. Who thought you'd see those three guys combining on a goal? If you have those three players in your fantasy, you're losing. With 3:10 left, the Flyers the Flames get a power play. The Flyers are over here. The Flames are over here. It becomes a 5-on-3, and on the 5-on-3 they score. It's Tkachuk from Lindholm and Anderson at 18:41. Then Dubé had a chance that was saved, and I was like, this game is so going towards Calgary. This is Calgary's game. But then with 6 seconds left in the second period, one of those goals that just, it can really change things. Como from Raffle. So that ties up the game at the end of the second period. So start of the third period, Dallas, their front line, their top line, has a really good shift that leads to a goal. Sagan from Radulov and Heiskanen at 1:34. And I'm as surprised as anybody because that line's had a lot of struggles this year. If that line starts getting things going, then maybe Dallas can have a good season after all. It's still very early, right? The Stars then go for another. Tkachuk with a high stick. He was really mad about it. He was pretty sure he didn't do it, but you look on the replay. And again, it's one of those things where as he's going to the box and he's complaining and mad about it, you think, could he get too front sportsmanlike as well? He didn't. The Flames also killed that off. The Tanev then had a shot that was saved. Lindholm as well. The Flames get another power play, and then they get another. Then there's a 4-on-4, and then there's a delayed call on Dallas because Dallas decided, let's just spend the whole third period in the box. But during the delayed call, Zadorov scores from Shillington at 16:03. So the one penalized player comes out, the other penalized player goes in because there was a delayed call here. So Calgary stays on the power play, but while it's tied at 3, I kept thinking, Calgary has to win this. This is their game to win. And all the momentum was with the Flames. So that ends regulation. I'm expecting an overtime loss point for Dallas because, again, it felt like Calgary had been the better team. Flames controlled on the faceoff. Lindholm was robbed. Mangiapane couldn't bury one. And then, kind of out of nowhere, it was one of these plays that, and I know 3-on-3, every play can be dangerous, but I didn't see this coming. I kind of hesitated when I saw the puck win, and I'm like, did that just happen? Jamie Benn gets the overtime winner from Pavelski and Klingberg at 2:59. Dallas, on the road, wins in overtime, 4-3. They're the only road team that got an overtime win here. They go to 4-4-2 on the season. For Calgary, they dropped to 6-1-3 now with that overtime loss, but they're still getting points. It's the important thing. They're still getting points here. Shots were 10-9 Dallas in the first, 15-7 Calgary in the second, 10-8 Dallas in the third. Both teams had one shot in overtime. Final shots 33-28 for Calgary. Power plays, Dallas goes 1 for 3, Calgary 1 for 5. Hits 20-19 for Calgary. Hudobin 30 saves on 33 shots, and Markstrom 24 saves on 28 shots. So, yeah, pretty good games there. And now I need to change boards. Okay, so now we're to the West Coast games that get started. And for Seattle, this was impressive. So Seattle's had a problem over their last few games that they've lost games that they've been out goaltended, right? Tonight it felt like Grubauer was good enough, and really Seattle was bound and determined tonight. And there was some shot blocking going on. There was some good games good stuff going on for them. For Buffalo, the storyline seems to be changing after what was a pretty good start for them. So it's Tokarski versus Grubauer. Early test for Grubauer. Donskoy had a chance that was saved. His next rush chance goes wide. The Sabres get a power play. That is unsuccessful. Alexiak flattens Girgensons. And Alexiak's 6'7", so if he flattens you, you're aware of it. Seattle then gets a power play. Puck along the boards kills about 30-40 seconds. I'm talking about like 3 players on each team with it down on their skates. And yeah, that helps. And so that power play was a no. Schwartz misses one high. Both goalies have been sharp. Another Seattle power play. And on that play, you also get a fight between Hayden and Alexiak. There was no instigator given in that either. So, yeah, right after that power play ends, it's not technically a power play goal. Geekie gets a goal from Wenberg and Dunn at 15:42. So that makes it 1-0 Seattle. Things get kind of scrummy after that. At the Sabres net, Donskoy fires another one wide. Jonas Donskoy can't buy a goal this year, and I feel for him after this game because he had a lot of opportunities. Second period, Sheahan had a chance that was caught. Miller had a chance that was kicked aside. The Kraken cleared, but they ended up icing it as well. So there was a lot of pressure by Buffalo at that stage. Not a lot of shots. Yarncroke had a shot that was caught. That power play was killed off. They had their power play there. And then Thompson scores from Asplund at 6:27. And I had to write this down because I thought this is indicative of what's been happening in Seattle games. This was the 8th shot for Buffalo. At this stage, Seattle had 23 shots. This game is tied. This is a storyline that's been going on in a lot of Seattle games. They're way ahead in shots. They're way ahead in opportunities. And they're not ahead on the scoreboard. Again, it has to get frustrating. The Sabres then press for the lead. We get a power play for the Kraken. Again, it's a no. There was a press for Seattle with 4.5 minutes left. The Sabres, they had a power play. Tanev had a shorthanded rush. He fires wide. And then Buffalo scores on that power play. It's Okposo from Bryson and Cousins at 17:59. So in a period where Buffalo records 5 shots, they get 2 goals. But before the period's out, Eberle scores from Schwartz at 18:25. This is when John Forsland said something about the scoring play and said, well, for people who are following along at home, I don't think anybody's doing that. Hello, John. I am following along at home. This is what I do. I might be the one guy. Thank you. So, yeah, it was 2-2 after 2. But again, the shots were 30-11 Seattle through 2 periods. It's a tie game. If you're a Seattle player and you're in the locker room and you're looking at the numbers, you're probably going, how does this happen again? How are we here again? It feels like we're always at this point. And it has to be frustrating on some level, right? Even if they won't say it publicly. So we have a 2-minute 4-on-4 to start the period because of stuff that happened at the end of the second period. Yarncroke has a break that's saved, but during the 4-on-4 with 10 seconds left in it, Eberle scores his second goal. He had one before the end of the second period. That's from Wenberg and Lauzon. Things get scrummy at the Sabres net, and then it's Eberle again. Yes, that's a hat trick from Schwartz at 8:06, and that is a natural hat trick. It is a natural hat trick, plus it is the first hat trick in the history of the Seattle Kraken. Congratulations to Eberle, who puck wouldn't go in the net for him. Now he has 5 goals in his last 5 games. And to Seattle. Seattle, it looks like their offense is finally starting to maybe come together. Again, people may point out and say, well, but it is Buffalo, and we kind of expected them to be down, and now it looks like maybe they're starting to become the team we expected at the start of the year. But we'll see. And again, it's a nice story. Sabres get a power play. There was a shorthanded break for Gord during that. That was killed off. And then they pulled the goalie, and that allowed Schwartz to get a goal from Alexiak at 18:43 to make it 5-2. Seattle improves their record to 4-6-1. Buffalo 5-4-1. I didn't do a video on Seattle's inaugural season at 10 games and compare it to other teams. I'm waiting for 20 games. I've decided now we'll wait for 20 games and we'll see where they're at then. So for Seattle, it's a good game. For Buffalo, again, it's a worrying trend, which seems to show that Buffalo's starting to drop in the standings, right? Shots in this one, 14-6 Seattle in the first, 16-5 Seattle in the second. In the third, Buffalo did outshoot them 10-8. Final shots, 36-21 in favor of Seattle. Power plays, Buffalo 1 for 3, Seattle 0 for 4. The hits were 20-16, also in favor of Seattle. They were way ahead in shots and ahead in hits. I don't know that all 20 of them were Alexiak, but it wouldn't surprise me if somebody said it was. Tokarski, 33 saves on 37 shots. Grubauer saves 19 out of 21. And to his credit, in the third period when they needed some saves, when Buffalo did get that pressure, they got that from Grubauer. So, yeah, Seattle, pretty decent win for them tonight. All right, moving along. St. Louis. So this game looked like it was going to be a very, very, very high-scoring game. Like, I was starting to say, okay, I'm going to need the other columns here. Multiple columns. It was Hofer versus Hill. And that doesn't sound like a goaltending duel. And yet, it kind of was, even though their save percentages at the end of the night aren't great. But they both played really well for stretches of this game. Blues had a good chance around the 4-minute mark. Things are getting unfriendly early between these teams at the Blues net. Power play then for St. Louis. It's unsuccessful. The Sharks get a power play as well. It is unsuccessful, but we then get a 4-minute penalty on the Blues, which makes it a 5-on-3. That is successful. Burns scores from Hurdle and Barabanov at 7:13. Hofer then with a big save on Hurdle. The shots were 10-1 for San Jose because they spent the entire first 10 minutes, it seemed, on the power play. So it makes sense that the shots were 10-1. They evened up a little bit, though, because during that power play at 9:59, Saad scores shorthanded from Bozak. So Bozak forces a turnover. And on what was only their second shot of the game, San Jose ties it. So again, much like this game here, you're way ahead in shots, but somehow it's tied. Has to be frustrating. Hurdle had a shot saved. The Blues killed off the rest. Blues had a 2-on-1. Perron fires it wide. The Blues then get a power play, and San Jose decides to turn about his fair play. Couture scores from Balsers at 17:16. That makes it 2-1 San Jose. And then Aiden Hill was tested in the final minute and a half by St. Louis. He passes that test. It's 2-1 San Jose after one. Second period, Hill stops a good chance for Mikkola, but he can't stop Buchnevich. At 4:20, he scores from Barbashev, and Kostin, stop giggling. So that makes it 2-2. And then Nick Merkley scores from Ferraro at 4:49. So yes, I didn't even think, well, there's two Merkleys the last game. So Nick and Ryan, I'll make sure I'm keeping them separate. They're not even related. It's so weird that they collected Merkleys. Like it's just a bet somebody made. I bet you can't collect all the Merkleys. It's easy. There's just two of them. We can do that. Blues then get a third power play. Buchnevich was robbed, but Saad wasn't. Saad gets his second goal of the game from Thomas and Perron at 8:09. Gadjevich then had a good opportunity. That deflects high. James Neal would score one from Wallman and Bozak shortly after that at 11:42. So all of a sudden, the Blues have gone from behind by a score of, let's see, it would have been 3-2 there, so they go ahead 4-3. It's their first lead of the game. And it just felt like something changed when that took place. So Weatherby had a chance that was saved. Neal had a chance on a turnover that wouldn't go, but St. Louis has the lead entering the third period. In the third period, the Blues are kind of locking it down. They were up in shots 3-1 at 4 minutes. And the game's emotions were pretty high. This was a San Jose team that definitely showed a lot of fight tonight. Again, they're without 7 regulars, right? So eventually that's going to catch up with you. Blues get a power play. That was unsuccessful. Hill denies Thomas. The Blues pressed with 8 minutes left. There was a post for Thomas on a turnover. With 5:08 left, San Jose gets a power play, and that's a no. So a game that was 4-3 at 11:42 of the second period is still 4-3 with 5 minutes left. They pulled the goalie with a minute and a half left. That allows Robert Thomas to score from Parayko, and Hofer. In his first game, Hofer, the goaltender, gets an assist on an empty net goal at 19 minutes, and St. Louis wins this 5-3. So Hofer, who, if you're like, who's Hofer? He's the goaltender that got the assist and got his first win tonight. St. Louis goes to 7-1-1. This win has to feel pretty good. For San Jose, they're 6-4. It's a good record through 10. 6 wins through 10 is okay. But, you have to worry about things from here on. And again, how long are the 7 players going to be out, right? So the shots were 12-7 San Jose in the first, 12-8 St. Louis in the second, and 9-6 St. Louis in the third. It really felt like San Jose just kind of ran out of gas at points during this game. Final shots 28-26 for St. Louis. Power plays 0-4 for St. Louis, 1-5 for San Jose. The hits were 15-11 for St. Louis. Hofer saves 22 out of 25. Kudos. Kid gets his first win, his first NHL game, and Hill gets 23 saves on 27 shots. Again, their save percentages weren't very good by NHL standards, but they both had good games. It's just the defense on both sides had some breakdowns, and when they did, the puck often ended up in the net, at least until 11:42 of the second period. A lot of goals. But there you go. Let me know your thoughts regarding tonight's games in the comment section below, as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe. If you're browsing your way through, you just happened upon this video. And hey, thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.